I've got two souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make the man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put a dollar to my name like Creflo. Naja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got two souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got two souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror, oh oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality spicy, body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, stay where I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing you need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen, I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got two souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got two souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror, oh oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Let's watch.
Come on,
And then welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here, coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you all so much for joining the conversation tonight. I put a couple of videos up and I've been getting information together about the beginning, right, of Sebastian's disappearance. And I kind of did a strange poll tonight, but I do want to know if you guys think, just Katie's involved or if it's Chris and Katie both, right, that have been involved in Sebastian's disappearance. Because I think they're both definitely involved. And I think that because I think Chris would have left by now, right? I think he would have just cut ties, cut his losses, so to speak, and parted ways. I don't believe that it's because he's like super in love with Katie or cares for her so much that he's sticking around for that. There's a lot of information that shows that before Sebastian went missing, about 17 months worth of shit was going on, right? Like September, they move into the new house, and that's of 2022. And then we have the fall. And that's the fall of 22, where all of the CPS reports are starting, and there's a bunch of turmoil, and they're asking if Seth will take Sebastian. And during that time frame, right? So not quite 2 years, more like a year and a half, but still a significant amount of time and a significant amount of turmoil was and existed in the Proudfoot home. And Seth was kind of not really the wiser of it. He kind of knew that there was some issues, but he just figured they didn't have, the type of patience that it requires, because it's not going to be easy on the child who is, has autism spectrum disorder, but it's also not easy on the family, the parents, other siblings, and that's a whole nother show. But I think it's important that we note that, right? Because Seth had to get a lawyer to get these CPS reports so he could read them, and he's not allowed to share them, which again, I don't think that there was enough accountability when it comes to CPS in the situation. They often get it wrong, and then we often hear about it because it's a true crime case then. Um, and so good to see you, Chuchi. Thank you for being here. And Gail is here. Brad, good to see you, Brad. And let's see who else we have. And Bo, thank you so much for the. If you guys want me to play the Baby Curl song, let's hit that goal. I figured I'd make a goal and a poll tonight. So Aw, so good to see you, Bo. And hey, Nancy, good to see you, Nancy. And also, Sasha is here. Hey, Sasha, good to see you. Hello, Brad, again. And let's see. Hey, Sasha, good to see you. Sasha, or excuse me, Shauna is here. I just switched you guys in the last show. I don't really go back and listen a lot, but I did for that one, and I apologize because I did do that another time. Hey, Brenda. Good to see you, Brenda. And again, thank you, Bo, so much. People, is there anything new with our boy Sebastian? It's been too long. If anyone knows anything, please be Sebastian's hero. What if this was your son? And please, 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 in Jesus' name, set him free. Well, thank you, Nancy. And, I've been thinking a lot, especially being off and going over all of these, different posts and different live streams and things that had come to light well after Sebastian went missing. Um, it's been too long, and in the beginning it was very much a failure on, in my opinion, as humble as it is, on law enforcement. Because if law enforcement would have done their job to begin with, right, which I have evidence that they were doing some things, right? I mean, we can see it in the first 7 days coverage, that the news was covering it, right? We know they got the Faro cameras out. We know that they were pointed towards the backyard. We know that there were dive teams and all of these resources, but they were looking for someone who ran away. So that's the main problem. So that they put resources where they didn't need them, in other words. Um, and hello, Cinderella. Hey, KJ Mac. Good morning. Good morning. Morning or morning for you and night for us. So good to see you. Thank you for being here. And again, thank you, Bo. I said, "Oh snap, Bo must really want to hear that song, that baby curl." I made it short. You guys could hear it anytime. I just thought it'd be funny to play it for you guys if we hit the goal. Hey, Mama, so good to see you. Oh, no worries, no worries. I completely understand. I'm doing the late night. I need to do more day shows. It's just been a little hectic today. A lot of things popped off on YouTube today. Every time I have a lot of messages, I'm like, oh, what happened? So there was just like a lot of things popping off today. And aloha, JH. So good to see you. And Tam is here. Hey, Tam. And let me get through my hellos here because I need to say hi to all you awesome people in here. And Lori, good to see you. Or excuse me, Tori. Wow, it's gonna be one of those nights. Tori, so good to see you. I'm working tonight, but I'm listening. Love you, lady. Aw, love you too, Tori. So good to see you. And I'm glad. And don't work too hard. I'll have to come down there and tell them, don't make Tori work too hard now. So, and Shadow is here. Hey, Shadow. Aw, Shauna, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, only if we can get a part two. Why is it always the ones with the pissy pants? Oh my gosh. Okay, I totally need you to write me some lyrics and I will put it to whichever song of your choice. I have so much fun with that app. That app is like too much for it was like $10. But I've had so much fun with it. That's like the best $10 spent. Shauna, why is it always the one with the pissy pants? Have Chrissy in the corner. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys just cracked me up with that. I never understood why he had to get a lawyer for documents on his own son. So, JH, I think that's a good question. And I think a lot of people were speculating on that at the time. I think the reason why is because there's zero accountability when it comes to social services. We'll just say I know because some people call it CPS. I just call it CPS because that's like the most known on here, right? But Department of Family, Children's Services, however you want to put it, right? They're always getting it wrong and there's never accountability. We see it in Harmony Montgomery's case and it was one of the worst misjudging, in my opinion, of a family member of God, it just breaks my heart for her. She was given to her father, biological father, Adam Montgomery, and he had a prison type gang related some sort of teardrop tattoo. Now, if you if people don't know what that really is, it's like they either killed someone or they want you to think they did, right? So that's why they would get something like that, right? So he's like a hardened criminal guy, very scary, has pulled weapons on people and done all kinds of horrible things, right? And then he gets custody of Harmony in the stroke of a pen. Her fate was sealed, and her mother was able to sue, right? But she doesn't get Harmony back. And, Harmony's brother went to a good family that was willing to take Harmony, and her mother was making arrangements for that, but instead they let her go with the drug addicted teardrop tattoo daddy. And it's just so sad. But very oftentimes, the only person who can get the CPS reports are the parents, the biological parents, and they almost always have to have a lawyer in order to get those documents, JH. So, um, you know, I don't know what we need to do, but I think there needs to be more transparency when it comes to DCF, DFS, CPS, whatever. Um, just a couple weeks ago, we talked about how bad conditions were in Tennessee, but it's not isolated to Tennessee. It's not just Tennessee, right? I mean, yeah, I like to call out the sheriff because he says that his area is completely safe and everything's good. And then next thing you know, there's all kinds of things popping off. It's just everywhere. But yeah, it's just something that is across the board needs reform. They really need to start thinking about the kids first. I mean, not them staying in the offices on blow up mattresses and, their whole little life is right there in their own little area on a table. It's so sad. Um, so, but damn, it's hilarious. I did the AI. I did the AI and it's just it cracks me up. It puts me in a good mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll just go listen to that. Nancy says, I remember in the beginning, Chris didn't want his mother mentioned what grandparents would leave to Alaska when their grandson was missing, and they refused to search the Bowersox property. Yeah, and I think that's a valid point. So there was a lot of things in the beginning that was strange about the Proudfoots, and that's why I have like the mama with the bling bling on a couple of the thumbnails, right? Because Kathy, I don't think they're like, Murdoch rich, right? They're not. But they're definitely Sumner County rich, right? Where like they know everybody and they do have the connections and money. So there were a couple of things in the beginning, again, from Matt Camp when she's in there not worried about Sebastian, worried about Chris buying her some jewelry, bragging about that. And then also with Lori being there, right? Hindsight and BMW Coupe did an awesome live about that very subject. That, Lori should not have been there still on Monday morning as fast as she was, if she, unless maybe she started driving home and then turned around, but she's never come out and said anything. Nothing's ever been verified. So with none of that information being verified, um I just don't have a good feeling about it. And the Bower Sox also, I think, went to Costa Rica as well. Now I'm not saying that, they should have had people watching them, right? But I just don't think that Katie could have pulled this off on her own. And so if I'm thinking about people that could have been involved or helped facilitate something, I'm looking at Lori, right? I'm looking at the Bower Sox. I'm looking at the one Christopher guy, right? I'm looking at him, so Shauna. I need to make one for F and Patty. I need to make a song for F and Patty. Maybe he got it after Harmony. I don't know. Just speculation. No. Oh no. He was always Mr. Bad Boy, Mr. In and Out. And yeah, I wish that was the case. I do, Sasha. Brenda. Brenda says, let's hear that song. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Brenda. That's so hilarious. Oh my goodness. I'll just play it anyways for you guys trying, but I do appreciate it. Oh, Mama's World says, due to the Tennessee CPS cases after Sebastian went missing, New Mexico CPS needed to be notified because Chris and his daughter lives there. Well, I mean, I agree. That's another thing that I think was a big part of this 17 months of life before Sebastian went missing, and looking at that, because look, there was a very tumultuous relationship and trying to get Faith, right? Like ever since Faith got taken by Chris from her mother, he wanted to get her back from her mother when she was taken, back to given back to her. He just wanted to keep taking her, right? He loves having that power and control over Nina. And the fact that he's never been able to get it back has been infuriating to him, right? And I don't know how much he felt like Sebastian was in the way, but I think that we can safely say that during that period of time, and based on what we're going to watch tonight, because I kind of shortened it up and took a lot of the ad-libbing out of it, and then Mr. E did a really good job, and Mrs. E, of like reading back their notes. So I wanted to make that smaller and condensed, but that is a small part, portion of a larger live that they did with Tony. Um, and so, but I wanted to kind of really like get it down to the bare bones of the conversation, in order for us to work this in the war room on Discord. So, all of these things come into play. And there was supposedly a review. I shared a post by Chloe PI, and she said there was going to be a review on January 29th of 2024, right? And that is right before Sebastian went missing, about a month before. So I think it's important to examine what was going on and the fact that the courts were involved. And, Chris can laugh all he wants when it comes to Sebastian not being able to testify, or the judge not wanting to hear what Sebastian has to say. Sebastian was 15, and Sebastian could absolutely, in my opinion, tell the judge if there were things going on that were not um, appropriate, or that he found to be, I mean, he was telling, and people were telling. Now, I don't know how many reports were because Sebastian said something to someone, or because someone stepped up themselves. I don't know. But I do believe that Sebastian was starting to share some of the turmoil that was existing. And I think he was sharing that obviously with grandma, right? Robin. And after he went missing, she absolutely was vocal about that, even though she received a lot of flack for it. But she was still vocal about it because, in my opinion, she wanted to find Sebastian. I think that was her goal, right? So so Aunt Melissa is another one, Brenda, right? Because Aunt Melissa, she was bullying Sebastian. Um, and I hate to point this out because I'm not trying to shame Sebastian, but I don't understand how he appears to be wearing, a pull-up in one of his birthday photos. And then at the Texas Roadhouse on in February at the end, the day that he went missing, he used the bathroom just fine, didn't appear to be wearing a pull-up. And so, like I said, I hate bringing that subject up, but when I think back about that time frame and Chris not being around, and then Sebastian having accidents, when Chris was around, then he didn't. Then even Seth was saying about how Sebastian would have the accidents at their house, but not be having accidents. I even remember Seth saying, well, Chris also gave me Sebastian's underwear and said, we're not going to be using these here because Katie's got to go up to the school or whatever and give him new clothes sometimes. I mean, the way that Aunt Melissa acted at the birthday party was a bully. Right? She's a bully. And I think that she did not like Sebastian, and I think she liked to make him upset. And I think she liked to ruin his day, so to speak. Um, like in Devlin Tate's case, we find out after he went missing that there was a fire chief, or excuse me, a fire cadet who was part of the bully crew for Devlin, right? So, when we look at these people that are part of that bully crew, or people that were bullying someone like Sebastian, um, I think she's definitely on the list of people who would facilitate or help or would hold guilty knowledge or try to cover up a bad situation. So I think there's a lot more to it than just meets the eye. Unfortunately, especially as you look back and you see who was vocal, who was not. Where's Lori? What happened to Lori? You know? So, I want to show you guys this video. I'm super excited about this collaboration, and so I want to show you this. It is, hey, Margaret, good to see you. Thank you for being here, Margaret. Um, so I want to show you guys this because this is something that's interesting. Oh, well, it is, Brenda. So the day that Brenda says Aunt Melissa's Facebook post the day after he went missing is so sus to me. I mean, it is very suspicious because she says that they have been searching since 6:30 a.m. Now, if you've been searching since 6:30 a.m. and the police weren't even called until then, or the police were being called around that time, then I call BS. Right? That means that somebody knew about Sebastian's disappearance before. I mean, they obviously the whole Foot Clan knew. You know, we have Katie's light on at 3 a.m. Her bedroom light was on at 3 a.m. Hey, Show Poodles. Thank you for continuing to keep Sebastian's name in the public. Thank you, Show Poodles. That's awesome. You guys are great. I think we're gonna hit our goal tonight. Woo, woo. All right. Thank you. So I want to show you guys this. This is great. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go.
I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
Seth opens his fucking mouth, I promise you, it won't ever open again. It won't ever open again. Never again.
He came out and he said green hoodie is not important to the case.
And the cat's out of the bag. FBI looked into me a long time ago.
You know, you gotta have a punishment for this.
You're my nice motherfucker. You have not seen anything that's trendy.
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian.
People have driven up to me and personally spoken about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I make the statement? My truck wasn't in the area, the vicinity. The FBI knows this. So don't speak of my truck being in that vicinity, that area, until the 26th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
I gave him a swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. One swat.
December 7th. He would have. He turned 16, and
the sheriff doesn't care about Sebastian Rogers. Imagine running unopposed, but still wasting money on a campaign.
That was actually several years ago, and it
to
was
Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Okay, guys. So that is part of just kind of like a trailer that we're gonna keep on working with as we go through this war room stuff. So there was a lot packed in there from, the beginning, and especially about some of the abuse that was going on with Sebastian Rogers, right? And there was a significant amount, in my opinion. And then I want to show you where that sign was that Craddock is putting out, because you do have to ask permission to put the signs out according to the Tennessee law. So, thank you, Brenda. Yeah, it wasn't just me, but thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that positive feedback. So I know it was kind of scary, but I did enjoy the collab. So is that Craddock sign? Yeah, in Gallatin. Yes, yes. That's the location of the sign. And just around that area, there's a lot of water and stuff like that. So it was kind of an eerie, creepy little site that um he chose to put his sign up, or he asked. I do believe it's private property. Um so that was interesting to me also. So yeah, I mean, I think they were medicated, Mama's World. I do. I think they were medicated in the Nancy Grace um video, because I think they were super nervous to talk to Nancy. I do. I think they were pooping their pants. I really do, because they were just not coming with the same energy that we've ever seen them with. Neither one of them, even Chris. Um he did, however, call out Nancy Grace and tell her to name the place and time, and that sort of thing. So he did, kind of let his mask slip a little bit, but nothing like we've watched on other shows, and then with Cluminati. Um, and then I also want to just address something really quick about that part too, because I saw that popping off today. So anybody out there, even if you don't like me and the feeling is mutual, and I don't like you, but don't think that I'm going to strike your channel, right? Because I'm not a striker of channels. I don't report people, because I think that it's detrimental, especially to a case like Sebastian's, where we have a stepfather that's gone on there and made a complete fool of himself, and now there's no record of it anywhere because somebody got the channel taken down, right? So please, by all means, for educational, for criticism, for whatever fair use purpose that you're going to use my video for, please feel free to do that. I'm never going to strike you. But I also want to point out that the person that you are letting up on the panel is the type of person that will strike, and is the type of person that you probably think that I am, but that's not who I am. So, with that being said, please feel free to use my content. Look, this is the thing. It sucks because, yeah, we might not like those channels, we might not agree with them, but at the end of the day, there goes, you know, information. Right, Shauna? I mean, like, I'm not trying to just you know, get on a soapbox, but yeah, I just don't. I like to document things, and when things aren't documented anymore, it just like it gets my anxiety rushing. Even if it's not, something, because look, I mean, Chris Proudfoot went on that panel and acted like Sling Blade, right? And then he did all kinds of different impressions, which is fine if you're up there for any other reason besides the reason that he was supposed to be up there, which was advocating for his stepson, right? But then we find out that he's nothing more than a stepfoot. And hey, Scranton, good to see you. So yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. And and that lady is one of the most real life people. You know who I'm talking about, guys. It's Crimey Grime with a K Chronicles, right? With a K. Grimy, yucky, oily, stinky. Hey, Kylie's nail candy. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot we're gonna cover, and that will kind of like really encompass the whole case like really quickly, which I'm not always good at doing that, right? So yeah. Oh, Shauna, there's been so much that has been said. I mean, if you go, like, there's the one video that, I don't even want to replay it. It was so foul. And I can't even believe YouTube. And we were all sharing it and talking about it and, commenting on it. And, it was just vile. It was so bad. But here's the thing, like, I mean, I'm sure people sent it to law enforcement. I'm sure people are aware, but this is the parent of a child. Damn, I don't look, I have no time. Like, especially lately, I've been just trying to get all this information, and it's like so much. And then Oh, it's so much. But yeah, like I don't I because look, there's a lot of people out there that do work hard and I don't want to take their work down either. So, that's another thing because I heard that Molly got her channel taken down. Now I know she's had a couple of channels. Hey, Miss Ann. So, hey, Coffee Crime and Cats. But so I did hear about that as well and I felt bad because you know again it's good to know these things and people that know people, right, that were there at the time when I wasn't there. So it's a shame. But yeah, my content is always okay for anybody to play. I'm not going to strike you or anything. I do not have a lot of people that I don't like, really, really don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple of people out there, and I don't have to name their names. They probably know. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I hope for the best for every channel out there, especially the ones where, there are women running the channel. I hope that everybody, um, you know, enjoys what they do. I'm not big on trauma, right? I think trauma is detrimental to the families of the true crime community. I think it's never supposed to be something about, like for entertainment purposes. Now, if somebody says something ridiculous, I understand that in and of itself is going to be entertaining. It'd be entertaining to me. I imagine it'd be entertaining to you guys. So yeah, we do play off of that here, but it's never um to the point of causing more drama, you know? So it's so bad. It's Shauna. I know. It's like it's so bad. It is so bad that I don't even want to revisit it. I just let it remain on there, just for again documenting purposes. But it's like very triggering also, like to hear Chris Proudfoot's voice when he starts in with the craziness, yelling at creators. Here's the thing. I understand, especially being in the public, right, that people are going to say weird stuff all the time. Like they are. They're going to say weird stuff and they're going to go after your looks or, whatever, the way you say something, the way you talk, whatever it is. They're going to find something to pick and nitpick on, right? And I understand that. And so if you're, a family of a true crime situation. We've actually just talked about how bad it was for Shanann Watts's family. And I didn't realize how bad it was, or that it was even getting to like a horrible point with them, which that is very sad to me. I don't understand how people could be so hateful. But again, it exists. It's there. Hey, Crazy Bird, good to see you. Shauna Shauna says, "And pissy pants." Comes with half the territory. Just saying, Sebastian, we will find you. That's right, Shauna. I mean, here's the thing that's infuriating to me, that I think they're gonna get away with it because they're so cocky about it. And especially on YouTube, they're so cocky about it. And I wonder what law enforcement thinks of that. I think I would ask that question if I could ever get Snuggle Struggles to talk to me, but he probably wouldn't talk to me. But if he did, and I could ask him some questions, that would be one of them. What do you think about a stepfather that goes on YouTube and creates a circus out of a missing child's case? What do you think of that? Because you're not stupid, you're an educated man. So what's up? I mean, I just don't get it. Hello, Kylie Ray, good to see you. And Barb, hey Barb, good to see you. Runs with Scissors is here. Hey, Runs with Scissors. So it is. It is. It's funny, but it's 100% fact. Shauna. Yes. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And the thing is that he gets his panties in a twist. Big time. But why? My thing is that if people say stuff and it's not true, it's not gonna bother me as much as it's just like, I guess, let me say it like this. It's like the way that he overreacts to criticism is off the charts, and it makes him seem more guilty, if that makes sense. Right? And I'm not trying to say that people get it right every single time. None of us do. We're all going to get certain details wrong. I've had to come up here and be like, well, I got that piece wrong. It's this one. Even like most recently with Letitia Stouck's case. Just I called her daughter Riley. For some reason, I called her Riley, but it was because probably one of the cops, detectives' names was Riley. And that's where I mixed it up, But then I came up and I was like, no, her name is Harley, by the way. But there is a Riley, and it's the detective. So that's going to happen. We're going to get theories wrong, right? But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, um, we still have a great task in finding Sebastian because, again, like I was saying before, with if we figure out how he got out of the neighborhood or if he was dropped off somewhere, I will I will say that if we find out that Katie dropped him off somewhere, she's 100%, in it. She's 100% in it. Let me see if I can't pull this poll up and see where you guys are at with this. Okay, hold on. Because yeah, I want to see where you guys. And we got 80% yes, was Chris is involved. 80% Chris is involved. Hold on one second. Oh, there we go. Okay. And 20% both were involved. Right? So you got Chris, just Katie. Or both, right? So, yeah, that's interesting. So 20% of you think both. And I know that's kind of a weird poll, but they don't give me options where I could just put a name in there, right? Or maybe I should have done one for Chris, two for Katie, something like that. But it just said yes or no. So let's see. Oh, and I did want to bring this up too, because this is something that we were talking about because of the at night post. So yeah, it is. It is. No, it really is. And people act like complete fools and they're hateful to each other all the time. Every day, somebody is doing something to someone they don't like, Shauna. And it's weird to me because I don't have time to be doing this. He sure did, Brenda. The time that Chris bragged about how clean his electronics were, that detective praised him. What a good job they did. Just floored me. I'm surprised that isn't played more. Duper's delight for sure. Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree. He was absolutely bragging his ass off about that. Right? But it's like no evidence is evidence. And so even though he thinks that he's doing good, I think it's it has to be coming around to bite him. It really, does. Tori says I agree. Yeah, but that is so true. In my opinion, Chris is the reason Sebastian's missing, whether he convinced Katie to do it solo or did it himself or helped with the cover up. Yeah, lover girl, I'm thinking that too. I mean, I always definitely think Katie is involved, but then I think to myself, well, what if she only did so much? Right, and they didn't tell her what happened about the rest, and someone else knows what really happened to Sebastian, but she doesn't. And that would also throw off polygraph results, right? Because she would be coming out as being truthful about not having knowledge where Sebastian is. So, there's that, you know. Scranton says 1000%. Mama's World says Chris would get mad with Katie gave attention to Sebastian, so he did, and said things to that poor child that prove he was the only one who can get attention. Well, and I think a lot of it was the jealousy, in my opinion, from Chris to Sebastian, you know, whether it was taking Katie's time or any of that. I think that was a major factor as well. Hey, Holly, good to see you couponing at Super Sleuth. So, yeah, so let me go ahead. I'm going to play this next one. So, issues, right? In Sebastian's case. Oh.
Vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
Sorry, guys.
I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
Seth opens his fucking mouth. I promise you, it won't ever open again. It won't ever open again. Never again.
He came out and he said green hoodie is not important to the case.
And the cat's out of the bag. FBI looked into me a long time ago.
You know, you gotta have a punishment for this. You're my nice motherfucker. You have not seen anything in trending.
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian.
People have driven up to me and personally spoken about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I make the statement? My truck wasn't in the area, the vicinity. The FBI knows this.
And I'm not going to get into mentioning creators by name, but unfortunately, we're dealing with other creators that they really don't verify anything, and it's kind of a pattern with some of these creators. And you know, the latest thing that's out there from a couple creators is that there had been an email sent by Seth Rogers that he was trying to get Sebastian put in a home. I think it started out, you know, September, October, you know, that kind of thing. Even the dates aren't correct. I heard another rumor that something to the effect of Seth was told that, well, they had given Seth a year to get his home in order. And because he couldn't get his home in order, they were going to do something different with Sebastian. You know, that's kind of like, it's kind of like a lot of the other things that have happened there locally. It's just not factual.
So don't speak of my truck being in that vicinity of that area until the 26th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
I gave him a swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. One swat.
December 7th. He turned 16, and
the sheriff doesn't care about Sebastian Rogers. Imagine running unopposed but still wasting money on a campaign.
that was actually several years ago, and it
to
was
Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot, to Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Okay, so in that clip where Tony was talking about how there were local influences in Sebastian's case that were wreaking havoc, spreading misinformation. I don't know if that's who they're talking about. I don't know if it's just one YouTuber or how many, but we know that that was a major issue in Sebastian's case, right? We know that that was absolutely a problem in Sebastian's case, where people who were coming out to help were being threatened, right? So I'm also gathering some of those threats together because I think that it is very telling. Very much so. Very much so. Sasha says, I'm telling you, this guy is overgrown, insecure weirdo. And Shauna, yeah, say that one more time, pants. And and the thing is, too, is supposedly the scent for Sebastian that was given to law enforcement, or the clothes, were supposedly the clothes from the Texas Roadhouse. So again, if we're thinking about a handoff, and maybe the shoes were taken off as well as an afterthought, something like that. Um, Well, like CP said, he's pervy, my opinion, speculation. This is very horrible shit. Yeah, it is. It is. Lover Girl says, I think they're both involved in one way or another. Katie may be physically on scene, and Chris calling the shots over the phone seems more likely to me. Yeah, I mean, I can see it playing out like that as well, Lover Girl, because again, like I said, this 17-month time frame, things were building. Things were getting very bad in the Proudfoot residence. Sebastian also attending counseling and things of that nature too. Um, Barb wants 5 minutes with Katie. 5 minutes alone, that's all I need. Yeah, I know. I know. I'd like to ask her a few questions too without Chris there, So Scranton says, I commented about this the other day. CP said his truck was not there, not that he was not there. Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Scranton, you're right. I mean, and it's always don't talk about my truck, right? But then again, he could have used another vehicle to get there. Um, you know, that's why I can't ever say or rule him out, but in the same way, I know the PIs in the beginning also said that he was where he was supposed to be. But I just never knew if we could buy that or not. Crazy Bird says lady wants 2 seconds alone with Chris. LOL, he has to look into her eyes. Oh no, Crazy Bird, and he will be in heaven. Oh geez, Crazy Bird. Then she's going to kick his little pee for me. Oh my goodness, Crazy Bird, you're so funny. You crack me up with that. Oh my lord. No, I'm serious. If I ever saw Chris, I'd be going in the opposite direction. Oh, I wonder if two pairs of those black sneakers were at the house. Katie and Sebastian had the same shoes at the Texas Roadhouse. I think that they're super similar, like a little bit too similar, right? Runs with scissors. I agree. And we did talk about that. That was one of the first things I noticed because of the fact that his clothes were changed, right? Like we originally thought that Sebastian and Katie were out to dinner, right? And that Sebastian was wearing um pretty much the same outfit, but the graphic is completely different on the shirt. And so we can tell that that's not the same visit, as well as Katie's hair is completely different, right? So when I saw that, it made me pay attention to his clothes absolutely, right away. And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's not a Grogu shirt. Or that's a Grogu shirt. Wait a minute, the other one isn't a Grogu shirt." You can tell now, that you're looking at the shirt a little bit. It's different. I just kind of took her word for it because she's kind of covering the graphic. And so I was like, well, maybe there is like a baby Yoda on the shirt and you can't see it in that photo. But then, you realize that he's wearing a huge baby Yoda on his shirt. It takes up the whole shirt. And it's like, and then I start looking and I'm going, oh, look at their shoes. Their shoes are the same. And then I'm like, well, what kind of shoes does he have on? So yeah, that's a great point, runs with scissors. So, did KP witness these beatings? Was he actually doing this to this child that would need a diaper? Right. I know, Sasha. What's really in the CPS reports? It went insane. I know. And that's the thing. That I hate to even bring that piece up, but I think it's a big part of it. Because, when I first watched the Texas Roadhouse video again, I'm watching it and I'm saying, "Oh, what is Sebastian doing? He's getting up from the table. Oh, he's going to use the bathroom." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I thought they said that he was wearing pull-ups at Katie's." But all of a sudden, if you take Chris out of the equation, he's not doing that, right? He's not doing it when it's just him and his mom. He's not doing it when it's just him and his dad. He's doing it when Mr. Chris is around, right? So we have to look at that, whether people like to hear about it or not. I'm sorry. I'm not making it up, right? So, and again, if I'm wrong, please help me out here. Not you, Chris. But because here's the thing, he was using the bathroom just fine. He didn't want to say what year his truck was. Yeah, like he didn't know. I know that was really suspicious because guys know what their car or truck or whatever is. Whatever they drive, they know what it is. I mean, we all do. Whatever we drive, we know. He didn't want to be pinned down to a certain vehicle, in my opinion. I think that's a good point, Scranton. I do. I do. They've always been so fishy though, with all of this misinformation. And then they turn around and say, don't listen to the YouTubers. Well, look, I mean, you guys are lying right off the bat, giving us a picture of them at the Texas Roadhouse, but it wasn't the same night. He also told Nancy Grace the wrong year of his truck. He did. Brenda, what man doesn't know the year of his truck? I know. Exactly. Chris didn't want to give a straight answer to any questions. That keeps him in control. It sure does. And Seth has always been very forthcoming with answers. Always. I think she bought extra stuff at Christmas and kept it back for the to-go bag. Just an idea. Oh, I see what you're saying, Barb. I know. Well, and I know there's been a lot of speculation if maybe they were like bringing some stuff out to, of Sebastian's to him. I just don't know if they would take that risk. But look, something could have went awry. And I know that Chris and Katie are military, so we think, they can complete a mission, right? With, be successful in doing so, right? They're used to doing that sort of thing. But then again, they're not very coordinated together, right? We see this even in their interviews. It's like because Katie plays stupid or she is stupid. Some people don't have common sense, right? But again, Chris, is always wanting that control of the conversation. Let me handle it, right? But then they want us to believe that he wasn't there or involved, but he would have to be involved. That's just where the evidence points, or the lack of evidence also points that way. Mama's World says Chris thinks he made more threats than they ever gotten from day one. Yeah, love to cry wolf. And that's it too. Mama's World, he did the majority and is behind the majority of it. Oh, definitely. Or people will do it for him, right? To say they did it for him. Because that's what narcissists do. They'll have their flying monkeys. But there were so many threats in the very beginning, it was unreal. And the only reason that you would want to threaten somebody is if you're hiding information, right? You're protecting something. So what's with the threats? At this point, I don't believe he was even wearing the black pants and shirt. They lied about everything. Scranton, I am right there with you. It's also a red flag that the TBI changed the flyer. They couldn't say he was seen in the area of Stafford Court. See, they couldn't. No. Oh God, no. And that they wanted it to seem like they saw him on camera somewhere, and nobody saw him on camera. Nobody saw him leaving the house. No one saw him come back, in my opinion. And who took out the trash, you know? Shauna says, I've always felt like Yoda was an omen, a name, a place, asteroid in the chart, something since day one. Oh, okay. Yeah, and she didn't even call him Yoda. She called him Grogu, you know? So, like, she's very specific, but that's interesting. Yeah, well, that's how you can see it in the picture. That's on Yellow Jacket's phone too. Like you could that's how I can make out that that's Sebastian is because of his t-shirt was like kind of really sealed the deal for me because I remember when TJ had sent it over and hey Tully, good to see you. I remember when TJ had sent it over and I'm like, "Where did you get this? This is crazy." And she's like, "From the dog video." And I'm like, "The one that he put out of the Texas Roadhouse, you know?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, wow, that's interesting." And so I go over and grab the original and then I just slowed it down. And you can see either Sebastian coming into focus or perhaps a video of him, a picture, if you will, of Sebastian on Yellow Jacket's phone. And you can tell because of, the way his t-shirt um comes into view as well. So, you know. Oh, hey, Debbie says what? Keep doing what you do. Thank you, everyone. Aw, Debbie says what? That's so sweet. Thank you for your super sticker. Wow, or super chat. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's how we can kind of tell that it's him, because like TJ gives good information. And so I was like, never doubted her at all. But what I was trying to do was recreate it then. And I'm like, oh shit, there it is. Right there. So very interesting how that has even played out as well, you know? Oh, I got what you're saying. His shirt, the last thing he was wearing, it's an omen for me. I'm special lady. You know this. I love you, Shauna. That's funny. No, I mean, you are special, but I think you're probably onto something with that because I mean that was always so weird to me. And I did like many of my beginning videos were about the clothes and what he was wearing and why are they not telling us the right thing and blah 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 because it's like I couldn't see that being a Yoda shirt, which it could still be, but I was like, I don't know, she's not being honest about the clothes. And Shauna, the reason that's so important to know what they were wearing last is so we can look for them, or if they're, heaven forbid something happens and we can find their shirt or a piece of clothing that they were wearing, then that gets us closer to where they are. So that's why it's so important to know those details. It's not because people are being nosy or they're too curious. It's because there's a reason behind that, knowing, okay, he was wearing glasses, in case we find a pair of glasses, especially in the beginning. So, um, there's just so much that goes into it, Hey, Asher, good to see you. And people kept saying Yellow Coat Guy is not involved. Okay, yeah, he's 100% involved. I know. Well, and the thing is that I just think it's too weird. And I'm wondering if something didn't go awry at the Texas Roadhouse. Like it was supposed to happen near there, but it didn't because everybody kind of seemed unorganized at the Texas Roadhouse. And it seemed like, I mean, especially because none of them ate. I mean, Green Hoodie chilling by the vehicle for 2 minutes or whatever it was. I mean, that's way too long, especially if you gotta use the bathroom. I mean, if we have to use the bathroom, we have to use it, and we're not just gonna, like, hang around the parking lot for a while until we decide we're gonna go in. We're going there in order to do something, right? Which is use the bathroom. So, um, yeah. But, alright, let's go ahead, start in on this part of I built out, like, a bit of a timeline. Right, just to kind of get us started for the war room. So, I posted these in there. So that way, people could watch them and kind of comment on the videos so we can kind of build out a good timeline here. So let me share this screen. And we got 62 in here. I want to do really quick too before I forget, because I don't want them to go for next month. But I'll do some memberships too today. I have 5 to give away. So let's see here. You guys are still at 81%, by the way, for the poll. So 20% or 19% really thinking that they both had something to do with it. So very interesting, very interesting. So here's 5 memberships. Hopefully you guys got your membership gifting on. So good night, Miss Ann. Oh, Mama's World got one, and Brandywine OG got one, and Dee Dee Bucks Fan Ohio got one. Sun Bunny and Nicole Lynn 75. So welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Glad you guys are here, and those are the gifted memberships for the month because I did 5 before. So let me do a share screen here, and we'll get started on this.
I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
Seth opens his fucking mouth. I promise you, it won't ever open again. It won't ever open again. Never again.
He came out and he said green hoodie is not important to the case.
And the cat's out of the bag. FBI looked into me a long time ago.
You gotta have a punishment for this. You're my nice motherfucker. You are not seeing anything in front of you.
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot getting Sebastian.
People have driven up to me and personally spoken about this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I make the statement? My truck wasn't in the area, the vicinity. The FBI knows
there's so many people invested in this and just want to discover what the truth is, even if it's painful. Can't shy away from it. It's the reality. And it gives us a little more clarity on what was going on leading up to his disappearance, which is very important. It's maybe the most important part.
We're familiar with some of these DCS reports that have been talked about over and over again. I think it's important for your audience to know that over the last 2 years, there's been 5 different DCS reports that were filed. Those were
Okay, guys. So Mr. E and Mrs. E and everyone is shocked, right? Like when this first came out, right? Hey, Mosquito Bite. Thank you for becoming a new member. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so very much. Okay, so this fall of 22, right? So we got Katie and Chris moved from White House to Victoria Place, right, in the fall of the fall of 82, the fall of 2022, right? So they move in around September of 22 into the house they had a house in White House and they moved to Victoria Place, which is where their home is on Stafford. That's what the subdivision's called. The CPS report started around this time, right, in October of 2022. Right. And this is about the time that they wanted Seth to take Sebastian because they were saying there was behavioral issues. Right. Which I'm like, I don't think so. So Seth started looking into the schools, right? But there was a 14-month waiting list for online schools in Clarksville, Tennessee, where Seth lives, right? Because he got notified of there being a spot open in December of 2023. So right around Sebastian's birthday, they okayed him to do the online school in Clarksville. So then Katie and Chris don't want Sebastian living with them anymore. And this is the fall of 22. So this shit's been going on for 17 months, right? Where they don't want Sebastian living there. They don't want to wait. They don't want him living there. And so Oh, sorry. I guess my voice to text was just picking up every single word that I said. Alrighty. It's keeping transcript for us. So Tony's going to get into these, but over the course of 17 months, and even more concentrated, I guess, it would have been 16 months. So over the course of 16 months, there were a total of 5 CPS reports, right? So very interesting. And I think it plays a huge role in what was going on, right? So just plays a huge role. Now, we're going to listen to what Tony was saying here.
Those reports started in 22.
So, did you say 5, Tony?
Correct.
Okay.
Are these all in the Proudfoot home?
Correct. We are not allowed to discuss the content of those reports.
Right.
I can tell you that whether they're in one parent's name or the other step parent's name, the allegations are consistently against the step parent.
Okay, guys, so this is another very important piece to figure out. Again, like I said, Sebastian was not having the wedding issues, right, or bathroom issues with Katie. Katie was not the one that was named in the CPS reports, except for the fact that she was allowing for it. She's another adult in the home. That is her child biologically, right? So that's why CPS was citing Katie, because she was allowing for it and they were having to come back again and again. But even though the contents of the reports cannot be discussed, Tony is pointing out that every single report was because of the step parent, who is Chris Pissy Pants Proudfoot, right? And he is the one that is perpetrating the alleged abuse, because that's why CPS would get involved, right? And if your house is, dirty, you don't have adequate food, things like that. Your child's going to school, their clothes aren't fitting them, there's issues, right? There's some sort of issue there. Not always abuse, right? It could be some financial things going on, but or sometimes, there could be bruises or something that can be misconstrued. But since we have mandated reporters at the school, they're going to report if they see anything, out of character, or out of, out of order, so to speak. So again, with that being said, I just want to point out that Katie and Sebastian weren't having the issues when Chris, in my opinion, wasn't there. I believe that when Chris went and he wasn't in the picture for the month of February, that Sebastian was doing better and Katie was allowing for Sebastian to not wear pull-ups, right? Because at the Texas Roadhouse, he's not, but at his birthday party, he was.
So you can have a DCS report that's filed that may be in the mom's name, but it may be regarding the environment that she is allowing her child to be in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back to the first of these DCS reports was filed in 22. Katie and Chris were actually trying to get Seth to take Sebastian a year before everybody knew that the plan was for him to go to live with Seth. And in October of 22, they had tried to get Seth to take Sebastian then. This is not something that a lot of people know. Well,
I have not heard this, no.
What they're talking about when they say that things could not get in order for him to get Sebastian, it had nothing to do with his home. It had to do with the fact that they wanted him to take Sebastian in the fall of 22 and he had tried to get signed up for the online program with Clarksville schools, and there was a waiting list, and he could not get approved. So he had a conversation with Chris and Katie and told them that he really thought that it would be smart for them to continue to let him finish out the school year and not move him to another physical school in the middle of the year. So that's what happened. He stayed in his, stayed at the school he was at for the remainder of 22 and part of 23. So fast forward to November of 23, we know that there were more DCS reports filed in that month.
All right. So we have November of 23. More CPS reports were filed in that month. On or about this time, Chris and Katie called Seth Rogers and suggested that they put Sebastian in a behavioral center. Now, that's what Tony's calling it, but basically like a boys' home, a place where they can send Sebastian and he would go live at that place. Chris and Katie cited Sebastian's behavioral issues at school and home. And also, Seth asked Chris and Katie to send him the name of an institution. Right, or excuse me. So then Seth is asking for names of institutions. One of them is going to be Bledsoe Youth Academy. And now this one, I found a clip where around this time they were exposed for the New Hampshire kids that had come and stayed there.
And we know that on or about the time those DCS reports were filed, Seth Rogers received a call from Chris and Katie that they wanted to put Sebastian in a behavioral center. Basically, you can call it a boys' home. I don't like to call it that. I like to call it a behavioral center. They were having problems with Sebastian at home. They were having problems with Sebastian at school. They were kind of at their wits' end with him. According to Seth, they did not have a lot of patience with him, which is why they had a lot of problems that Seth did not have when he was with Seth. So Seth asked Chris and Katie to send him the name of the organization that they were trying to send him to. They sent him the name. The name of that organization was Bledsoe Youth Academy in Gallatin, Tennessee. That was in November of 23. Seth does research on that specific center. And according to Seth, there had been 5 or 6 childhood deaths associated with that facility.
Oh, wow.
Tonight, a Gallatin facility for at-risk youth is under fire, and this is the second time in 2 months. The Bledsoe Youth Academy is a 30-bed residential center for troubled boys. A new report by the New Hampshire Office of the Child Advocate continues to highlight the problems at Bledsoe after 2 boys in the state's custody were sent there.
The allegations are disturbing. Many, the 2 New Hampshire boys were too afraid to share during their first interview with the state's Office of the Child Advocate while they were still living at Bledsoe Youth Academy.
The other half of those reports were what occurred after the facility was notified of the OCA's concerns. So what appears to us as retaliation by the staff.
The report says after the initial findings were released, Bledsoe employees, including the executive director herself, incentivized other kids to jump the New Hampshire boys for snitching. One was forced to sleep in the hallway as punishment, according to the documents. Another boy reported being hit hard in the head and abdomen in what seemed like a targeted attack.
Okay, guys, so there's people at this school, Bledsoe Youth Academy. It's still open. I took a screenshot of it the day I made this video. It was a couple days ago, right? So, really concerning because, here's these children and even the caregivers and the teachers and the staff are inciting violence from the young people to jump the other kids and, get violent with the boys. This is where they were going to send Sebastian if it wasn't for his father Seth saying no. This is where they were going to send him, right? This was in their budget because, by the way, we're going to hear from Tony that the other 4 schools that are going to be recommended to Seth by Tara, a woman named Tara who specializes in this arena, they were too much money. So they decided not to send Sebastian to this school because they didn't want to spend the money on it. Right? So just another piece to this.
Would you consider these accusations abuse?
Yes. There's physical altercations in there, so that alone would be physical abuse, but also the psychological abuse that comes from the way in which they were tormenting the children, humiliating them, threatening them about where they were going to be going next. All of that aligns with psychological abuse.
The documents say after News 2's first report, a former Bledsoe staff member came forward, confirming the allegations made by the state of New Hampshire, including one where employees allegedly had kids watch inappropriate movies, which one child described as pornographic. The former staff member says when employees voiced their concerns, they were ignored.
And when I have that understanding that this is how they operate, I don't see a reason for them to feel that they should do otherwise. They're getting away with it. They're not held accountable. And realistically, they're getting paid to have children there.
The New Hampshire Child Advocate writes, no child should remain in the care of Bledsoe Youth Academy, but dozens still are. Even though the New Hampshire boys are in much better facilities today, they're now dealing with new trauma, worried about their peers who were left behind. Bledsoe is operated by the parent company Youth Opportunity Investments, which we've conducted.
All right, guys. So Youth Opportunity Investments. Youth Opportunity Investments. Really? So that's their parent company. Very odd. Very suspicious. And this is where they were going to send Sebastian.
Several investigations on over the years. I reached out to them for comment, but haven't heard back yet. This facility is licensed through Tennessee's Department of Mental Health.
All right. They are licensed through Tennessee's Department of Mental Health because they're specializing or saying that they specialize in the mental health of children. Hello, Dan. In the mental health of children, but they're having other children jump children. Interesting. And Tennessee taxpayers are footing the bill. Interesting.
Which does confirm it's conducting an investigation and issued a legal notice ordering the facility to suspend admissions on August 25th. Tennessee's Department of Children's Services has also opened additional investigations into Bledsoe.
So when he found that out, he reached out to Chris and Katie again by phone, let them know that under no circumstances was his son going to that facility, and gave them the reason. So they in turn told Seth that if he could find another behavioral facility that he liked better or that he thought was a safer place for Sebastian, they would allow, they would consider that. So the infamous email that people are talking about was simply a forwarded email. I have a copy of it. He reached out to a lady that was a behavioral specialist, and she recommended 4 different centers. Masters Ranch Academy, that's the Missouri one.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
All right, guys. So he's going to list off the schools that Sebastian was, that they were recommended to Seth. Excuse me. So December 1st, 23, Seth forwarded an email with options that were recommended to him by behavioral specialist Tara Akers, Assistant Director of Information Services for Residential Schools and Programs. Cost was the issue, so they opted to have Sebastian move in with his father, Seth, after the school year was over in May of 24, right? But then in January and February, right, somewhere around that time frame, late January to early February, there was a fifth CPS report that was filed, and it still remains open. And Seth has never been able to see the contents of this report.
Masters Ranch. Okay.
New Hope Christian Academy was in Texas. Oasis Boys Ranch is in Wyoming. And the one that you guys are probably familiar with, that there's been conversation about, was the fourth one, which is Stillwater Academy in Utah. And that's where a lot of the Tennessee boys go that have these types of issues. At the bottom of the email, the lady said all of these locations have openings. And this email was from Tara Akers, who was the Assistant Director, Information Services for Residential Schools and Programs. When Seth got that email, the email described in great detail each facility, what they treated, what they specialized in, a little bit about the facility, and it was basically a synopsis of all four facilities. So Seth, on December 1st, simply forwarded that email to Chris and Katie. Again, I have a copy of the forwarding email.
Okay, so he sends them a copy of that because they said that they wanted Sebastian out of their house. And so Seth forwarded the copy of the email after speaking with Tara Akers. Hey, Marion, good to see you. Marion says Inside Edition did a story recently on these behavioral schools. It's horrifying. Please look it up. Yeah, I will, Marion. And, we've talked a lot about it because even, there was one called The Program, right? It's a 3-part series on Netflix. And, it does detail the abuse that was inflicted on these children who attended this program, right? And, many of these places keep the kids until they're 18. And I know there was a lot of speculation on that as well. Is that leakage from Chris Proudfoot, or is, there's something more? But the thing is it's scary because, like you said, it's horrifying, and something could have happened, in the blink of an eye at a place like this, especially when the teachers are, encouraging the students to jump each other. I mean, that can end horribly, right? All that is unseen. Good to see you. Hey. And Brenda says, I'm not sure about Tennessee, but I believe in some states child abuse carries a 12-year sentence. In my opinion, no Sebastian, no criminal child abuse charges equals a motive. I think so too, Brenda. I think about that very often, especially because it does appear that they were aggressively looking for places. Again, them not wanting to spend money to send him someplace proper. If there's even a place that exists like that, right? Because we hear horror stories about these places. But how much was it going to be compared to Bledsoe? I'm wondering. That makes me wonder. It raises some questions.
They did some research, figured out that those facilities were between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. They decided it wasn't in the cards for the blended family together to be able to pay for that. So that's when they went back to, well, when this school year is over, he's coming to live with you, which would have been in May, which of course Seth said, fantastic.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to go back to Clarksville, and I'm going to find out if he is ready to be approved for that online school. Well, in a matter of a week, Seth found out that Sebastian's name had come up, which would have been the second week of December, and that Sebastian had been approved for the online school. Basically, his turn in line had come up. So everything was, was situated there. They quit talking about the behavioral centers or what have you, and just accepted the fact that in May he was going to live with his dad, and it would be his dad that would be dealing with him and any issues he may or may not have.
Okay, so, obviously Sebastian was accepted in the online school first couple weeks of December, right? So that's what prompted them to have that date of when he finishes up the school year in May, he's going to go live with his father, Seth. Hey, Detroit, I know, I'm thinking that too. I mean, I would think it would have been brought up at some point. It's so strange that they were able to hide that. I think there's, blame on all of them for that, and CPS as well.
Fast forward to the end of January of 24, there was another DCS report that was filed. We do not have the details of that report because that report was ongoing when Sebastian went missing.
So even Seth has never read this one.
Correct.
Seth had to go to an attorney to get these reports in the first place, correct?
The report, yes. All of the reports that I mentioned previously that were not currently open, he had to go to an attorney to get those reports.
Can I just clarify? So that one that happened in January that Seth has not been able to read, is that is the 5th CPS report that we know of?
Correct. To get to the point where there's enough DCS reports and it's been made very clear that they don't want to deal with this child. And on February 25th, early February 26th, the boy goes missing.
The last report that Seth could not get because it's an ongoing report, has not been closed.
That's correct. That it was Chris and Katie that wanted him in a behavioral center. Seth did not control that decision because he was not the majority custodial parent. They were nice enough to give him some input, but he also wanted a center that would counsel him for some of the things he had been through when he was younger. And I think we all know what I'm alluding to. I mean, he only had him every other weekend.
Right. Say, why didn't Seth do anything if he knew he knew about the 5 CPS reports? But it's my understanding he didn't know, right?
He didn't know about any of them.
That's outrageous. That's outrageous.
They never notified him. When he got the DCS reports, he didn't just get the ones from November. He got all of them.
I'm wondering why CPS did not contact the other parent.
From the legal counsel that we have spoke to, they had a very straightforward legal responsibility to notify him. And I would say that you can't do much about this until we figure out what the damages are.
Right.
But I think that this situation is far from over.
Oh, so they did have a legal responsibility to notify. And back in October of 2022, Seth and the Proudfoots had all had a discussion about having Sebastian enter an online program in Clarksville and living with Seth. There was a waiting list, so he couldn't get on that year.
It's about 14 months it took him to get approved.
So they finished up that school year. The following summer comes. Once we get into the fall of 2023, he still can't get into that online school in Clarksville. The waiting list is still full. So he enters high school, of course. They start having trouble at school, behavioral issues. And then sometime around November of 2023,
CPS reports or DCS reports.
Oh yeah. So actually during this time of 2022 through 2024 or January of 2024, There were a total of 5 different CPS reports made, all separate incidents, all mostly involving, it seems, the
The fifth one's still open.
The fifth one is still open, but they all are directed, or they all involve the step parent in the home. Is the
Predominantly, right?
Predominantly, although Katie seems to be named possibly in a couple of these, but more as
allowing.
But the step right, allowing the situation to occur. So they are having trouble with Sebastian, I guess, at some point, and then around November of 2023, they start having discussions about putting Sebastian in a behavioral school, one locally in Gallatin called Bledsoe Youth Academy. Seth does some research on it. It turns out they've had a lot of, I guess, children pass away under their care, and so he didn't want to approve that.
Okay, Mr. E's really breaking it down here, but Scranton says, why would CP say more than once that if he had $1 million, Sebastian would be home? Money can't bring back a runaway. Well, I agree with that, and I remember him saying that, none of this would have happened if we had the money, right, to put him in the school. I think that was a big leak, right, that he said that. Absolutely. Yeah, great point, Scranton. I mean, that's crazy, right? It's all these little things that they've said before. There's some semblance of truth in it. Hey, little brat, so there's some semblance of truth, I believe. Just my opinion, speculating from the statement analysis, there's a lot of other surrounding pieces of evidence, but strictly statements paint this very disgusting picture for me. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Sasha. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the stuff the dog handler lady was definitely, a character that was bringing, weird stuff into the mix, I think. Thank you so much, Detroit. The problem were with mom and stepdad, not Sebastian. I agree. Marion. I think it was absolutely Chris and Katie were the problem, right? And they were having issues even with each other, right? Like Chris telling people I'm leaving Katie saying he's going to leave, or I'm looking for a place, things like that. I think that was absolutely a part of it. Yeah, I thought it was the $1 million question. Exactly, Tully. I thought it was the $1 million question. Um Yeah, Sasha says in Delphi we discussed gate because of the Bridge Guys video, and we got into somehow essay causes and specific gate. So there's a lot of different red flags I see. Yeah, I agree. No, that's okay, IML. No, that's perfectly okay. And it's so good to see you. Yeah, because I mean, there's just been so much, and especially in the beginning, I mean, we've seen it kind of taper off and then it flares back up again. So I know. Well, Dan, I'm with you on that too. I mean, it's hard to tell what's truthful, what's not, what he's leaking out, and what we should be paying attention to versus what we should just, disregard. Um, but it does make me wonder, especially when Scranton talks about, the couple comments that he's made, right? Like none of this had to happen, but we had to get rid of him. We had no choice. Is kind of the way I think of it when I hear him say that, or when we're talking about this being a possible um motive, right? Like when we're looking at it and saying, okay, um did they take Sebastian somewhere? Did they send him away? What is, or did they have to put money up for Sebastian to have him go stay at a school, something like that? And if he would have had more money, then they could have all known about it. But since Seth didn't want to, go along with what they wanted, then they had no choice but to put him in a school or something like that. Because again, they were going to put him in Bledsoe, and they were ready to do that as long as Seth said it was okay. And Seth said no, right, to Bledsoe. So how much was Bledsoe? because they were saying, you know, and obviously I couldn't pay that much to have someone else raise my child either, you know.
Reached out to a lady named Tara, who works with this kind of thing, found 4 other really good schools around the country. Those cost between $5,000 to $10,000 per month. So of course it's, you know, $60,000 to $120,000 a year. So that was not feasible, you know, for the budget at that point, I guess. And then then he gets approved, I guess, sometime in that winter before he went missing, to get into the Clarksville school. So then the plan becomes for Sebastian to go live with Seth in May, which we all knew this part of it, that was the arrangement. But then another CPS report comes in January.
Either at the end of January 24 or the very beginning of February, within that few days there.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. And we still don't know what's in that report. And neither does Seth, neither does Tony. No one knows because it's an open investigation. And then Sebastian goes missing in February.
Right. No one knows. It's an active investigation. They have not closed it, even to this day. It's still open, you know? So we still don't know. Why are they keeping it open?
So there's your timeline. So I assume police have seen it, correct? They'd be able to see it. Investigators.
I would venture to say that they know everything that I'm sharing with you.
Sure. And they probably, even the open one, that wouldn't be off limits for them. They'd be able to subpoena that, I would think.
Absolutely.
If you're ignoring all of this, then you're not. It's willful ignorance, or you're incompetent. And I can't imagine that it's either. I'm sure they are looking at all of this.
If you and Mrs. E had 4 or 5 domestic violence situations at your home, and they came out, and every time they came out, you were the bad guy. You were doing things that you shouldn't be doing. She was claiming that she was scared. You did this, you did that 4 or 5 times over a couple years. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and Mrs. E is missing. I mean, where would the world be looking?
Sure. Of course. You'd have to check me out first. I mean, you would have to expect it. You'd have to clear me first. If they didn't, they would not be doing their job. So, you know, and it doesn't mean that there's any guilt necessarily with these people, but it definitely needs to be the first place they're looking. And until they can clear that, then they don't really need to spend any time looking anywhere else. There's too many red flags.
That you have to follow the evidence.
Right.
And I don't know what all the evidence is, and neither do you guys, neither does your audience. And I do believe that they are working hard to keep things close to the vest. And I believe that they are following the evidence. I truly believe that.
I do too. There's actually there's little signs here and there, if you're paying attention to it, that they are.
Okay, and I agree there, that there are signs, you know, that they're keeping tabs and that they have been, you know, investigating certain aspects of the case. I think that's true, and also with the warrant that was served again on the Proudfoot residence, that's a big indication that they were doing something at that time. And Mama's World says, I wonder if the VA knows he's missing because they have resources also to help. Plus, they have their own investigators. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything from their military people at all. Not a word. I mean, you know, you got Lori, who was also military, you know, and she is not helping to find Sebastian either. She won't even come forward with what she knows. And she was there before Seth was. You know, I'm very surprised at that, Mama's World. I am. And, you know, Detroit, you asked a great question here. Was KP receiving any disability payments for Sebastian? I don't know. You know, that's a great question. So tell me the signs, please, Crazy Bird says. So, yeah, lots to consider here.
That they are doing an active investigation.
They are watching what's going on, which is encouraging to me. And it does give us an indication as to which direction they're leaning to your point, if you're paying attention.
Because there's no warm up to it. There's no they're not going to announce the date that this thing's going to be solved. It's just one day everybody's living their lives, and the next day their home's raided. That's kind of how it goes.
So don't speak of my truck being in that vicinity of that area until the 26th at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
I gave him a swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. One swat.
December 7th. He would have. He turned 16, and
The sheriff doesn't care about Sebastian Rogers. Imagine running unopposed but still wasting money on a campaign.
that was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Okay. Alrighty. So that's that. So I wanted to kind of condense that and just show you guys the timeline of events that happened within the, 17 months. And that's just starting back one more month to September when they moved into Stafford Court. Right. And all that is unseen. Are you talking about do we know the date of this discussion? Are you talking about the one on Mr. and Mrs. E's Crimecast? Because I could look it up too as well. But yeah, all of this transpired from the fall of 2022, all the way up through the time of Sebastian's disappearance. Showpoodle says, according to LinkedIn, Lori K now lives in Peoria, Arizona. John K still lives in Illinois. Strange that Sebastian goes missing and the Ks seem to be apparently split, in my opinion. Yeah, I saw that where it didn't appear that they are actually, together anymore. So yeah, I do find that to be interesting as well. She had a parking lot play card for the disabled person and a placard. Yeah, in her car. And that's why I asked about the disability payments. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Detroit. That's a good question. Okay, yeah. Let me see when, because I could look it up really quick. I usually take a screenshot and put it in the beginning, just so you guys know, like, when the video was from. Mr. E's, there we are, Mr. E's Crimecast. Because yeah, they had Tony came up on the panel that night. Let's see. All right. So, oh no, that's the one with Josh, the green hoodie. Let's see. I might have to get that and post it after the live, because I'm not sure which one it would have been on here. Because I took it from the old video that I clipped it, that part out of it. Let's see. Rescue Ride Prayer Vigil. It would have been after that. I believe. So, what are the odds? Let's see. Increased reward. Maybe it was this one. No, because that's what Nick the Hat. I'm gonna have to go and look because I'm not sure what the date was. Hey, Ambrock. But that's a good question. On Voices of Truth the other night, we were told Lori was not in the military. She was married to him. Oh, okay. So she was not in the military with them. Oh, I thought she was. Okay, couponing. Well, thank you. Yeah. So he's the one. So John was the only one that served. So that's interesting too. So why isn't John out there, boots on the ground? You know? So that's that's interesting. So, yeah, because I mean, even so, I just wonder why their people didn't come out at all. Like none of them. Yada came out to bash Katie for a while, but I think that was because she wanted, some clout. But I also think that she was being truthful, and she gave a fair assessment. So thank you, all that is unseen. Yeah, I'm gonna have to post it because now you got me curious too, because I think I did in my original video put the date in there, because I mean I always like to do that with documenting. So um it's a legit question. Um they exactly inflicting the neck injuries. Yeah, I know. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, maybe Katie was getting physical with Sebastian. Because if excuse me, if Chris wasn't in town the whole time, then, you know, they had to have come from somewhere. Oh, jeez. Seth, thank you. Okay. So I was right. I like being right. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, Seth. He says Lori did serve. Where do people get their information? Jesus H. Christ. Aw, where's Sebastian? Exactly. That's still the question that remains, right? We still have that right just looming over us. What happened, right? Where if anything, can we be looking, where if anywhere I should say, should we be looking for Sebastian? Maybe they broke up because of Katie and her free marriage. I don't know. It seemed like they were doing like the heart pictures and stuff though. It seemed like they were pretty like together. You know what I'm saying? Like they seemed like they had a decent relationship, unlike, what we see with Chris and Katie. Um yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Ease, they have a great crime cast. They do, and they're super organized, way better than me because, I just had to go to their playlist and there I was. So, um, oh, good. Oh, yay, KJ is back. Good to see you, KJ. So, I mean, it is really the only question that remains, right? Where is Sebastian? What could have happened? And I think it was even very much a snowball effect, or just a culmination of all of this stuff that was going on, right? But what created the urgency? So I'm guessing it was that fifth CPS report, which I don't know why they still have it open. If Sebastian has been missing for 2 years, you would think that they would have closed it. But the only reason that they would, in my opinion, keep it open is because they don't want any of the information out from it, because that's the one surefire way for no one to ever be able to get that information, even Seth, because they would need to have to close that CPS report in order for him to obtain it. So that right there is very, very concerning, in my opinion. I mean, do they have a time limit? Hey, Valley Gal, do they have a time limit for this? You know? Aw, poor Nancy Guthrie. I hope she's found Brad, but yeah, I can't, you know, I can't spend time on Nancy Guthrie when, you have missing kids and stuff out there. That has been the only question I have. The rest just shows that he was in danger in that household. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it speaks to, Seth. I do. Um, and I hate that. I hate thinking that Sebastian was in danger or scared or, even unhappy in the house, because again, we're dealing with these two idiots that obviously want to blame the child in the house, and that's not how things work, you know? I don't believe the image Facebook pictures paint. My best friend's Facebook would make you think she has a fairy tale relationship. No, she lives in hell. Oh my gosh. You know, Scranton, I agree with that 100%. I think a lot of times, and it's, of course, it's that thing where we're not going to put like, you know, hateful or horrible pictures up on Facebook. We're going to put the happy ones up. And, you know, a lot of times it seems like it's just such a great situation and it isn't. And I completely understand that, you know, so and I think that they never fully investigated all that is unseen. I think if they would have, they would have noticed this. I mean, why weren't they pulled in and questioned about these abuse allegations from CPS? You know, why weren't they pulled in and questioned on the CPS report that's still open and ongoing, you know? So how long can they keep everything under lock and key? Excuse me, lover girl. That's a good question. When can we FOIA information about Sebastian's disappearance? So, as long as Sebastian's case is open and ongoing, um, the information is going to be limited. Um, Unfortunately, and what's keeping it under lock and key is that it's an open and ongoing investigation. And we know too, even it was mentioned in chat earlier that Detective Carter emailed Justin back, but even most recently, when I was showing you guys the website where Sebastian's case is located, it's under criminal investigations, right? So this is an open, active, and ongoing criminal investigation. And until it closes, we're not going to get to FOIA any information. Um, I think that's why it's so important right now to put the pressure on because obviously there's enough to put the pressure on with. And also with the fact that here's 2 years with no information whatsoever. Um, you know, we can't even get Brandon Carter to come out and say anything. He's never come out and publicly spoken on Sebastian's case, you know? So if they don't close it, um, will they at 18? I mean, I would imagine that would be a spot that it would be most likely Valley Gal. I mean, that's a good point. I think that would be the most likely scenario because at 18, Sebastian is an adult. And I don't know if that's what they're waiting for to close that last report. You know, I'm not sure. Well, if they can prove CPS report by finding Sebastian, then they can follow through with repercussions. Yeah, and that's the thing, he's the witness, right? So true. Scranton says, in my opinion, the more perfect Facebook pictures paint, the more red flags it sends up to me, in my opinion. I agree with that. Yeah, because we always see that happy fairy tale like Facebook, and yeah, I agree. Yeah. Shopoodle says, were they ever going to let Sebastian go to Seth? Sebastian was older and speaking out. If he went to Seth, he would tell everything. Yeah, I mean, I think that's another good point, Shopoodles, and thanks for being here. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that they were definitely racking up abuse allegations and different situations and scenarios that were toxic, and it was spilling out. And they can't deny that, um, you know, especially when there's four that we know of that we have a pretty good grasp on the situation, that it was a horrific situation, a dangerous situation for Sebastian. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that um, it plays a big part in it, right? Because he was even telling Grandma Robin some things. He was confiding in maybe a teacher because he showed, right, when Chris was like, he told his teacher, but he also slipped up and said he showed his teacher, right? So, oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, All That Is Unseen says, I was listening to Micah's Law, hearing from South Carolina. DV is so insidious. They are going to revisit, but hopefully soon will pass. Oh, I hope so too. Is there like, um, do they have a petition or something that we can share out? All That Is Unseen? Uh, Brad says it's been exhausting. I'm about to throw a brick at my TV. She's never going to be found. Aw. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, it's hard to keep the faith, but we have to. We have to keep going. We have to hang in there, you know? So I know they are horrible, Sasha. I know. I hate beating around the bush as well. Um, why wasn't it brought up during the school meeting if the school knew what was going on? You know, there was so many failures here, in my opinion, you know, a lot of failures. Um, KJ Max says a criminal investigation that has provided zero warning about other families watching out for a third party stranger taking teens from their homes. Yeah, exactly, KJ. And that's what it comes down to. Exactly. That's what it comes down to. And, you know, that's why I think that, Craddock is a BSer because he's trying to make it seem like his area is so safe. Well, you have people that are willing to hurt their own child and they're walking freely in your community. It doesn't sound so safe to me because if they're willing to do that to their own child, imagine what they are willing to do to someone else or their children. We would have to research statute states for charges, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, All That Is Unseen. Yeah. Aw, thank you, Chuchi. Yeah, we just started the war room, guys. Go join up. Um, no, it's just a place where we can talk about and theorize with Sebastian's case, and we're starting at the very, very beginning and going back. And of course, it's going to trickle into the videos that I'm making for YouTube, but it's also, a place where we can all share information, gather information, and just try to see if we can't go back and see if maybe we can figure out what happened here. Because again, these 17 months, 16 months is when the CPS report started. Um, throughout that time period, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and then Chris takes a job, out of town, and then some of that subsides for a little while. So we have the ultimatum, which Chris gives Katie allegedly, and says it's either him or me, right? It's either Sebastian or me. And he is expecting that Katie is going to choose him, right? And so was he withholding love from Katie? I mean, they had been away from each other for a little while. Was Katie finally on board with what Chris wanted to do? How did that transpire? You know? So, oh, okay, I see. All That Is Unseen. I would always sign a petition for that cause. So, yeah, Jacob did stop talking about Sebastian. Yeah, I don't know why, but I will say that I even saw, a screenshot from one of the bigger creators that's local to Tennessee, and they talk about how, they were being threatened and that's why they stepped away from Sebastian's case. Right? Some people will respond to a threat like that, right? They will decide that they're going to step away, that they're not going to talk about it anymore. Other people are up for the challenge. They have a little bit more grit, they have a little bit more distance from the situation. So that helps a lot as well. It's always something to consider. So, But I love you guys so very, very, very much. And I am going to try to get some extra lives in through the end of the week. But like I said, I was compiling a lot of the information. So I want to make sure I had it, for us to discuss. But we are going to be going, straight back to the beginning here, and really work what we know, what we've heard, what we've seen. It is going to be a little bit tricky because obviously there was a lot um, that was going on, and also some of the stuff has been taken down, or hidden or dirty deleted, so yeah, exactly, Scranton. I think she was threatened, in my opinion. She was hot on their trail, then suddenly, bam, silent. Right. And same thing with Chloe. Like Chloe was putting out information, and she was sharing big pieces and nuggets with us, and then all of a sudden it all stopped. So that's another thing. Yeah, Seth says I stopped talking to her mainly because she couldn't never get her facts straight. Yeah, and I mean, we have to go off of the facts. We can't, because otherwise we're just going down a big, well, we're going down a rabbit hole that we don't need to be going down, right? It's a waste of time. It's just a huge waste of time. Hey Groot, good to see you, Groot. And initially, Deception Detective backed off when he was getting harassed in the beginning. He will cover it now, but not like he did at first. Yeah, see, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. Um, CP was on dating sites and KP was on the neighborhood, in my opinion. Yeah, I wonder about the same thing, Detroit. I do. You know, um, yeah. I got a couple of like screenshots about that too, about how Katie was, it was being alleged that Chris and Katie were swingers, they were doing things in the neighborhood, things like that. So, oh, I didn't know that, Seth. That's weird. Okay. When I looked at your channel, it comes up as kid friendly. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, Chloe and Fish Sticks are friends. Yeah, Scranton. That's another thing. It was so intertwined with people like that. Huh. I wonder if I have to go to like my account settings and change that. I always put my videos on not kid friendly. Chuchi, because because we try to keep it, because of our content, what we talk about. So you don't get them either? I'm gonna have to check that. Thank you for letting me know that. Yeah, that's weird because I always say no, not kid friendly, you know? Hmm. Interesting. Thank you for letting me know. That's chicken poop, says says Crazy Bird. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna check that out. But yeah, I'm gonna be getting some more stuff out from the beginning. And if you guys stumble upon anything, feel free to send it to me. Or let me know in the comments or something like that. Because I do check those. It's just sometimes it's not as fast as I'd like it to. Um Yeah, and, like, some of my videos have had, like, to be put on, like, because of the content, because of what we talk about. Like, anytime there's anything with, like, CPS, like, I'll be surprised if I'll get people that will do AdSense for me. Oh, and then since you guys did so well with the goal, I know we didn't, like, reach the goal exactly, but we had some memberships and, you guys were so kind as to, send in some super chats. So what I want to do is I want to play the Baby Curl song for you guys. So let me play the Baby Curl song and let's see here. Let me grab it. All right. And we can, oh, here we go. Hold on. I'm playing it backstage. All right, we got Mr. Duggar. Beware of grown men who rock a baby curl. Okay, we got this. We'll put it up. We'll turn it all the way up. Oh, won't let me do it? Okay, fine.
Why is it always the ones with the baby curl? Baby curl. Them Chester cheetahs of the world rock a baby curl. Baby curl. All them mother truckers have a baby curl. Baby curl. The evil man babies rock a baby curl. Baby curl. The hairstyle for Wood Chipper Island. They sport that baby curl and they always are smiling. Why do those weirdo wear a baby curl? Baby curl. They are grown ass men, not baby girls. Baby girls.
I love when the cop takes off his hat and it just and the baby girl goes flying with the hat bow. Oh my goodness. Oh, we love Seth. We love you, Seth. Crazy Bird says loads of hugs and love to you, Seth. Aw. Scranton, we're going to make a part 2, I promise. Part 2 is coming. We're going to have some more lyrics. We're working on it behind the scenes. So, yeah, we're doing a whole thing. We got to I'm coming up with the video. It's just, I want I have to save the funny ones for like, another time because if I'm busy with the serious stuff. But, it's always nice to have a little bit of a break and stuff like that. So, um but I do enjoy yes, exactly. Exactly, show poodles. And we can just think, Brenda, we can just sit back and think like when we talk about all these weirdos, that there's an island for them. And we can just imagine them being there and, takes a load off. Those who stop covering it because of the effective narcissistic tantrums. And yes, and I believe that too. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. It just all of the crap that they've been doing behind the scenes, and then people are like, well, I don't want them to do that. So I'm going to, step back. And it's like, ooh, I know. I know they're chickens. Yeah, they're chickens. But, we need Wood Chippa Island. Detroit. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it because I enjoyed making it. I was like, oh gosh, okay. It was my first like AI song that I've ever that I've ever wrote. But it wasn't like a long one, it's a shorter one. But oh my goodness. Well, I love you guys and I will be back tomorrow for sure. Um on the night show. We might try to do a day show too. I'll see what I can get done, in the meantime. But you guys all have a wonderful rest of your night and I will see you guys all very, very soon.